Judy Mikovits. I know Judy's here because I talked to Judy.
I'm Dr. Judy Mikovits, and my travel expenses have been covered by several physicians and several patients. So I'm just going to read because I want to make it quick. I could talk forever. We do not know the causes of multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, lupus, or ME/CFS. All of these serious debilitating diseases have abnormalities of the immune system and inflammation in common, if not central, components. We made a handout, and many of you have it today, the people who sponsored my travel, of just a few of those biological abnormalities, the clinical lab tests, and the drugs with potential for repurposing. The FDA has just approved dimethyl fumarate as an immune modulator, an antioxidant for treatment of multiple sclerosis. The Bright Focus and Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundations just announced a phase 1 clinical trial of bexarotene, an FDA-approved cancer drug which acts on retinoid receptors like vitamin D and thyroid receptors, which are both abnormalities on this list, known abnormalities tested at ME/CFS. In Norway, oncologist Drs. Fluga and Meluk just completed last year a small clinical trial of FDA-approved cancer drug Rituxan with success in about 30% of the patients. The logical next step to do in this trial and with the Ampligen responders and non-responders is gene expression, in fact, profiling, and in fact, immune profiling to determine the difference between responders and non-responders at the molecular level. The FDA has demonstrated its commitment by holding this unprecedented meeting, and we thank you. Drugs which are FDA approved are generally safe in humans. Of course, everything has its risks. In serious diseases without treatments, a classification FDA recently gave ME/CFS, the benefits far outweigh the risks. For advocacy groups here today and those listening, I encourage you to fund these clinical trials with the drug companies, fund these follow-up studies profiling responders and non-responders to divide patients that exhibit different levels of disease activity, prognostication, and possibly insights into pathophysiology, as these MS and Alzheimer's disease foundations have done. The technology and expertise exist. The absence of a causative agent should not leave this field floundering any longer. It's a new era for ME/CFS treatment. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy, and I think we got those documents, but it would be good if you would submit those to the public docket so that they're officially then included in the record as part of your presentation. Okay, thank you. Next, we have Derek Enlander.
Good afternoon. I'm from the Mount Sinai Medical School in New York. About a year or so ago, we actually received $1 million grant from one of my patients. And the dean of the medical school said, "Oh, that's very generous of you. Let's actually form an ME/CFS center." And indeed, actually, we formed an ME/CFS center at Sinai. And our first project was to prove whether GET, graded exercise therapy, was appropriate in this disease. We actually have got undergoing the research in post-exertional malaise, and we actually expect to look at 150 controls and 150 patients in this disease. We're actually going to look at the usual array of cytokines, the usual array of immune markers, but we are also going to include genetic studies with a geneticist, Eric Schacht. Eric Schacht seems to be actually well known amongst all the genetic people that I've ever spoken to. We've got actually a series of 39 pages of the genome study on our first patients. It is a most remarkable genetic study. And we are now actually going to look at whether, in fact, graded exercise therapy is the correct method of approach. And we will actually prove or disprove the PACE idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Enlander.